So, a few days ago here on the YouTube channel, we made a commentary talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets and what head coach Rick Bowness had to say in calling out the team. He said, essentially, that the Columbus Blue Jackets don't really hate losing and that they need to change the culture of how things are in these parts. Well, this video was pretty intriguing because we also talked about how Patrik Laine of the Montreal Canadiens said similar things 1 year ago. We further followed up this conversation by talking about what Zach Werenski said. He responded to the Bowness quotes, and there were many Blue Jackets fans that were kind of pissed off with how he did that. Conversations like, oh, Zach Werenski is actually part of the problem because he's a guy that doesn't really see these cultural issues that Rick Bowness was pointing to. But in today's video, we are responding to another response from Rick Bowness, because this article on NHLTradeRumors.me dives into what Bowness said on the Fan Hockey Show yesterday, discussing not only his return behind the bench in Columbus, but yes, also to reveal what went into his rant, essentially doubling down on it. For some players, anyway. This article will be linked in the description. Rick Bowness opens up about the rant and doubles down. Blue Jackets head coach Rick Bowness went viral last week for his now infamous rant in which he tore his team to shreds for their performance down the stretch. But after re-upping for another go-around with the Jackets, he will be back. And big respect over to the Blue Jackets ownership for looking at Rick Bowness and what he had to say about the team and saying, yeah, he's right. We got to bring this guy back. He's not afraid to tell it like it is. He is in it for the betterment of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and we want a guy who cares in order to hopefully influence the rest of our team to care too. That's pretty fair, and I honestly do think that Rick Bowness, he made a really good pitch for himself by speaking out into the media in the way that he did, much to the dismay of certain Columbus Blue Jackets players. Cough, cough, Zach Werenski, looking at you, buddy. But the article goes out there and continues over here. There's nothing wrong with everyone going home a little uncomfortable. The culture is not as bad as I made it sound, but does it have to be better? 100% it has to be better. The players know whom I was directing those comments at, so it was certainly not directed at the whole team. But when I say there are some guys that are lucky there's no game tomorrow, probably most of the room knows who the hell I am talking about. Is he talking about Boone Jenner? Is he talking about Zach Werenski? I mean, the comments from Patrik Laine a year ago, surprise, surprise, Zach Werenski was also the guy who responded to Patrik Laine's commentary in Montreal media and said straight up, hey, that guy's wrong. You can't be going out there and saying that about your old team. We work hard over here, and you're just disrespecting it. In fact, let's go out there and search. Where's the video that we made? Laine Werenski. There you go. Let's get that typed up into the queue. The Blue Jackets are pissed off at Patrik Laine. Zach Werenski calls out Montreal Canadiens forward. And then, oh, look at this, 5 years ago. Patrik Laine for Zach Werenski trade rumors. That would have been crazy, right? But Werenski, as far back as a year ago, was defending the honor of certain Columbus Blue Jackets players. He did it against Laine, he did it against Bowness, and now Bowness is going out there in the media saying, when I say this, there are certainly a bunch of people in that locker room that know who I am referring to. Bowness also provided more details of what really set him off. If you look at the end of the season, we lost 6 straight home games. That's devastating. 6 straight at home. So that really, really upset me. We were playing Boston in a huge game, and they sat out a few of their star players, and we lost 3-2 late in the game. That's upsetting. The 71-year-old head coach added that he's always the first to blame himself. Listen, this whole thing starts with me. I'm the head coach. Every time we lose, I'm the first guy I look at and criticize everything I do. There are some guys that were lucky there is no game tomorrow. In the end, while putting certain unnamed players on blast, Bowness offered a bit of a softening on his stance for the rant, and said everyone knew where he was coming from. We had great meetings with the players after all of that. They understand, and they know my passion gets in my own way sometimes, and I do get carried away, and I get that. But you gotta be yourself, man. You gotta be true to yourself. Did I go overboard a bit? Yeah. But were there some things that had to be said? Yup. And for the most part, I think Blue Jackets fans would generally agree with that sentiment. In fact, when you review some of the other commentary that was made about Rick Bowness's comments in the first place, I mean, the overwhelming majority of Blue Jackets fans that ended up seeing this and looking at Patrick Laine's comments from a year ago, I'd say the majority of them said, yeah, Rick Bowness is absolutely right. He is dead on when commentating on the fact that so many Blue Jackets players are okay with this losing culture. In fact, this was posted onto the R Blue Jackets subreddit. Let's take a look at this. They know who I was directing it at. It was certainly not directed at the whole team. Most of these players would know who the hell I'm talking about. Let's begin the speculation, Orivov 1 said. Kent Johnson and Christensen. Only Heinen and Wood had fewer minutes than those guys last game. Voronkov also seems to be in the doghouse since he was scratched. Marchenko too. 5 giveaways and generally apathetic in his exit press conference. I give him a pass in the press conference. It must be extremely hard to answer questions and display what fans want to hear in English. I wouldn't expect Voronkov to have a great conference either. Another reply says Bones was trying to set a tone for next season. I'm glad he did it, but let's not read too much into it. He didn't need to clarify, in my opinion. The rant was deserved and needed. Narrow Neutral said, I think this rot is deeper than the players. Take it with a grain of salt, but Mike Commodore was on a podcast the other day, and he was talking about how their AGM, the stats guy, was just hanging out in the locker room getting a massage from the training staff while the players are practicing. I guess it raised some eyebrows because those resources are supposed to be for the players, and it's weird. I would guess that's Flynn they're referring to. They didn't seem to fight too hard to keep him. Another reply says that it's probably Provorov. Do people really think Provorov isn't giving it his all on the ice? I know he sucks off the ice, but to me, he passes the effort eye test every time. He was one of the few actually trying to save our season. And then you have more guys. Who was he referring to? He wanted to see the Jenners and the Coyles and the Garlands and even the Werenskis lead by example for the Machaychuks and the Fantillis and the Sillagers, and they all took it easy. At least Garland, Zach, and Coyle set the tone with their level of play. Boone was a total bum. So, at the end of the day, I think this opens the door for some pretty ample speculation as to whom it is the Blue Jackets are targeting with these comments here, with the hiring of Rick Bowness. Which guys in the locker room are being told, hey, you gotta be better? You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's what that's there for, after all. Blue Jackets fans, let me know, how do you feel about Rick Bowness doubling down, the fact that he is your head coach again, and whether or not his pitch is accurate in your mind. I hope you enjoyed this Vidisha 99 article. Is going to be linked in the description down below. And bye.